Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know in the last video I said we was going to pull the motor out and replace the gaskets. Gaskets came in yesterday. Not actually going to pull the motor out. Taking the motor out itself would not be too complicated. The problem is I got to pull the belts loose, I got to pull the rear end loose, I got to disconnect all that. So I went ahead and I pulled the gas tank out, which was pretty simple. And I think we're going to try to pull the motor apart right off the side. I just need to change a couple gaskets that I think I can get to right here. Just as simple. So in this video, we're going to pull the flywheel off, pull the side of the motor off, change a couple gaskets. If you would, please like, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you guys are liking what you see, leave me a comment and tell me how I'm doing. Share it with your worst enemy, your best friend. And yeah, stick around and we'll see if we can get the side of this motor off. Alright, so we're going to start by getting this flywheel off. And then we got to get this big old hefty nut off. Not sure how we're going to do that yet. This flywheel's just got, well, it's supposed to have 6 bolts in it, but it's only got 5. So we'll start by getting that off. See if we can do this one-handed. This little 90 here. I love this thing. So we'll get them 6 bolts out, and that should just fall right off there. Alright, so we got the bolts out of it. You see, it just fell right off. It does have a couple little gaskets. Not really sure why, but it does. We gotta find a way to hold this. Alright, so we come up with the bolt here. We're gonna, I don't know how well this is gonna work. So we got an impact. Well, it was easier than I expected. In the videos I watched, people hold the flywheel, but that thing is plastic, so I really didn't want to put anything on the flywheel to take a chance of breaking the flywheel. Alright, now I believe I have to get this off. Pretty sure this piece is going to have to pull off. Not really sure how that's going to happen. I don't know if it's got a little pin in it, but we're going to find out. Alright, so I had to go out, buy a pulley. Gonna put this pulley on here. We're gonna see if we can't pull it off there. Just try and get it pop free. I'm really afraid I want to break this. Man. Question is how hard do I pry on this before it breaks? Yeah. So we're going to do a little bit more research and we'll come back. Okay, so what I can see is they actually just use a puller on it. And I did see where they just kind of tap it and try to get the vibrations to pop it loose too. Well, let's tighten that up first. This probably would be easier if this was out of the... There you go. Well, that was way easier than I thought. Alright, so we got it off there. Just used the puller. Literally bought it at Tractor Supply. It was $20. It worked. And you see, you just need to... I just literally put some good tension on it and smacked it with a hammer a couple times and it popped right off there. Well, this thing come with everything. I literally got this off of Amazon. Sure, it's not the best kit out there. It was about $50. They come with, I think, every single gasket you'll ever need. Since it came with every gasket we'll need, I'm going to attempt to pull the exhaust off. I don't know where it could be leaking oil from. Does it maybe come from the crank? I'm going to pull as much off as I can without pulling the motor out. And then we will go from there. I'm going to attempt to get the exhaust gaskets. Or get the exhaust off, I should say. So it's the next day. Yesterday we got the exhaust off of it, off the motor. Today we are going to try to get the side cover off. Put you guys down in here. We're going to try to get this side cover off. Might pop the valve cover off. Don't know if we're going to take the carburetor off yet or not. But we're going to change as many gaskets as we can change. And let's see how the side cover comes off. I've never done this before. Growing up, I raced go-karts, so little 5-horse Briggs & Stratton motors I could pull apart and put back together pretty simply. But this is all new to me. But if you have the will, you have the way. Alright, we got the side cover off. Got it all cleaned up. We're going to go ahead and pull the valve cover off. I'm about 98% sure that the oil leak was coming from around here because the inside of this cover, the fan cover, it's got 3 inches of oil on it. So I'm really hoping it was coming from there, getting slung everywhere else. So we're going to go ahead, get the valve cover off. Go ahead and change that since we have one, which honestly, I don't even know if that's worth it because I'm pretty sure it wasn't leaking. Unless it's leaking on the back side, which is possible. Yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll take it off. All right, so we got the valve cover off. Don't look too bad. It's just a O-ring gasket. So we're gonna get that cleaned up, get that changed. These don't look too bad. We're gonna get that cleaned up, get that gasket changed. We're gonna change gasket on here if we have one, which I'm pretty sure we do, and the bearing gasket. There's like a O-ring type gasket in here. I'm pretty sure, to be honest with you, that's about where it looked like it was leaking from. So we'll get all this stuff cleaned up. Just gonna wipe it off. This here be pretty simple because it just literally needs cleaned up with some cleaner. The other one, the side panel, had a paper gasket on it. So we'll take the paper gasket off. We'll clean it up. Doesn't look that bad, so it shouldn't take that long. But we'll get clean these up and we'll change some gaskets and go from there. All right, we're just going to take some brake cleaner. Let's wipe this up. If you guys are liking this, please hit the like button and subscribe. And so we'll learn together. I've never done this before. Alright, now I'll probably put you on a time lapse. We'll get this gasket cleaned off. We're just we got it cleaned up as much as we could without having a parts cleaning machine. We're going to go ahead and change the oil pump gasket, and then we will get this put back on. Get the gasket put back in the valve cover or rocker cover, whatever you want to call it. I cannot find torque specs anywhere other than for like the push rods, the rockers, the inside of the motor. But the outside of the motor, I found torque specs for the cam cover, rocker cover, valve cover, whatever you want to call it, and that is it. I've spent, I bet, 4 hours on the internet last night just looking, even going through the manuals. They all show you the sequence of tightening them. They show you orders to put them in. They show you how to do pretty much everything, but nothing actually has torque specs. None of this was very tight taking it off. So we're just going to give it all a good snug and cross our fingers and hope it works. Nothing else I can really do. Like I said, I literally spent 4 to 5 hours on the interweb just trying to find torque specs. I cannot find them. I don't know if they're even existent. I even watched a couple people rebuild the motors, and they say what to torque them at, but I have no proof of that being what they're supposed to be torqued at. Nothing against these guys. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm sure they've done it before, but I'm not going to tell you guys the torque specs, because if they're wrong, I don't want to tell you they're wrong. So I'm going to tell you how I do it, what I set them at, and we'll take it with a grain of salt. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get these oil pump gasket changed, and then we're going to start putting this stuff back together. If any of you guys actually know or find a link on where I can find the torque specs, leave it in the comments. I will definitely go back and retorque them to the right torque. Just got an O-ring in it. That O-ring probably didn't really need changed, but we have them, so we're going to change them. Okay. Well. Okay, this gasket is it's the right size and diameter. Get back out of here. But I don't know if you guys can see that. The thickness is complete. This thing is twice as thick as the one I just took out. So that sucks. So we're just gonna have to reuse this one. Don't look bad, looks fine. We'll put a little bit of oil on it, put it on there. I'm gonna lube everything up best we can. Now you can see on here, see the scratches, the marks? That is where it is rubbed, I'm guessing, without oil. So I don't know if it was just ran low on oil, but those grooves should not be in there. You can actually feel them. We're just going to take some motor oil, move this gasket up a little bit. Stick her back in there. If it becomes a problem, I guess I'm just going to have to look for one of these gaskets to order. Now, if you're wondering why I lubed it up, I was always taught to lube up rubber gaskets just so they don't dry out. You would think dry to dry would be better, but this will help keep it from drying out. We're going to go ahead and put a good coating on the gears. A little bit on here. This helps keep from a dry start when we start it. And we'll just have to keep an eye on this, see if it starts leaking from here. Not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. I don't have no others. I could change it without having to pull everything back off the motor once it's on the motor. And just remember, guys, take this with a grain of salt. It's the first time I've ever done any of this, so I'm learning as I go. Alright, now we have this little O-ring gasket. I really hope we have the right one for that. Okay, so I just used some motor oil. Lubed up the ring gasket here. Let's pour a little bit in the cap. Spread it around on there. Now there is complete rebuild videos out there, but I am not rebuilding the motor. I'm just trying to fix an oil leak. So we're going to change as many gaskets as I feel comfortable with changing. I watched a YouTube channel called 9.5 Projects. It's an older gentleman. He seems to know what he's doing. He shows a full, complete video of how to rebuild this motor from every little thing in it. Or probably just use a mallet as soon as I find my mallet. We'll make sure your hammer's clean. I don't want to knock any type of dirt down in there. Make sure the seal It's knocked down in there all the way. My mallet is like literally the perfect size. I don't want to smash it once it's in there. Now I'm just pouring oil right on top of the bearings themselves. I just want to make sure they're good and lubed up. It's just going to take a second for oil to penetrate everything after first startup. Oops. I mean, this may not have to do this, but I would rather be safe than sorry. Okay, now that the cover is all complete, it's done. Everything's clean, everything's ready to go back on. Now we just need to base on this side. As you can see, there's still some gasket stuck to it. We're gonna clean that up real quick, and then we'll slap the gasket on it and put the cover back on it, and the side case will be done. Alright, so it's completely ready. We got the gasket cleaned off here. This is all cleaned up. Now you can see there's two tabs on here, one on each side. We're going to use these tabs to put the gasket, to hold the gasket in place. Now, this is a paper gasket, so you gotta be very careful not to rip it. Yeah, not liking this at all. This is just a cheap Amazon gasket. I might have screwed up by doing that, but now get the cover, get the bolts. Okay, we got everything lubed up. I slid this on that far. Now we just got to go around. I lubed this seal up really, really well. Okay, so I just made a huge mistake. The kit came with two gaskets. Luckily, I put the wrong one on first. It just kind of saved my butt. The only difference is there's one extra hole. There's another screw that goes here, and I noticed that as I started beating this on. And luckily I did. I had to pull this gasket back off. These oil pump gears need to come out. I'll show you why. You can see on here there is a flat spot. Here I was getting ready to beat this on with the hammer. Started to beat it on with the hammer, then realized I had the wrong gasket, so I pulled it back off. Then I noticed them slots, or it was squared. As you can see, oil pump gear slotted, and if I'm correct, this goes in here, like so. So it fits in there. That one lined up. I was about to pound this on there and probably break that gear. That would have been really bad. So we're just going to pull these out. I go back in there. I don't need to pull those back out. But now you can see it'll slide through there. Then we'll put this back in there. But yeah, make sure you cannot put your oil pump cover back on until after you get the whole side cover back on. Don't do what I just about did. I almost costed myself a lot more money. But you live and you learn. So yeah, I'm going to get this other gasket out of the package. I'll show you how to put that one back on there, and then we'll try this again. Now it's started. Just tap it on there. Around. Everything looks great. Let's start a couple bolts here. Maybe. Alright, now I'm going to torque them. And that, like I said, guys, I did not find this off of the motor itself specs. I found it from another YouTube channel called "9.5 Projects." This is what he torqued them at. So that's what I'm going to torque them at. It sounds pretty fair. So take it with a grain of salt if you want to do your own research and try to find the specs. But you might have to rotate everything until you find where you can get it lined up. There we go. Put some more oil on the outside of it. Alright, now we got to put the little sensor back on. Now we're going to take this back off. Put our gasket on there. We'll tighten that down. Alright. Well, you've seen the point. We're going to torque these down at 8 foot-pounds. And I'm probably going to call it a night. Alright. So the side cover's on. Oil pump's in. Sensors are back on. Now we're going to go ahead and change this gasket. We got the valve cover, cam cover, rocker cover, whatever you want to call it. It's back on. We're going to change this gasket. Then we'll get the exhaust. Now this gasket actually come off pretty nice. There's a little bit of, we're going to raise the blade out and we'll scrape the corners, but I'll hold the gasket up there. I'll find which way it's going to go on there. Go on there just like that. We'll get the cover. The bolt with the stud on it goes in the top right. I'm doing it. Alright, now that that's done, all we got left is the exhaust. We'll get that cleaned up, and we'll get the gaskets on it, and we'll get that put on. This type of gasket, I don't know exactly what it's made of, but it's not your paper gasket. I took a wire wheel, wire brush, and cleaned these up. Clean the exhaust up. Now I'm going to do it on the motor. I don't know if I do it, use a wire brush for where you have to seal like oil or something, but these gaskets here should do a pretty good job of keeping from exhaust leaks. And worst case scenario is you have an exhaust leak, not dumping oil, not dumping fluids. So we're going to take the wire wheel and we're going to clean up around the motor, then we'll put that gasket on, get the exhaust put back on, and the motor will be done. Alright, just match these up, same angle, this on. We're going to put a little bit of anti-seize on them. Put just a little bit of anti-seize on here. And a whole lot. Okay, now that we got all those tightened down, now we'll put the actual muffler on. These gaskets don't really matter which way they go. Alright, so we got everything tightened up. All those are back on. We just got to tighten that nut up down there on the little bracket. Gotta crawl in there and do that. But that is going to be it for this video. If you watch this whole video, thank you. That was a big learning experience for me too. I've never done none of that, so that is the first time I've ever done it. So don't ever be scared to try. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there to watch. You got Google, got everything you need. So if you guys like this stuff and want to see more, hit that like button. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Share it with your friends or worst enemies. I don't matter. Or you can hit the notification if you want to be alerted for the next videos. So thanks guys, I appreciate everything. I appreciate the guys that stick around and watch the whole video. Leave a comment below if you got any questions or any ways I can do something better. Tell me what I screwed up, what I should have done, and what I didn't do. But thanks guys, I appreciate everything, and we'll see you in the next video.